It is Friday. It's the 26th of July. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center, live from Hong Kong. Our headlines today. Egypt is bracing itself for protests across the country by rival political factions. There is concern that we'll see more of the violence that's erupted in recent weeks between supporters of the deposed President Mohamed Morsi and those who campaigned for him to be ousted. Meanwhile, Egypt is increasingly polarized with support for the ousted president and backers of the military at loggerheads. Less than 2 years ago, the military seemed to be disliked by most Egyptians. Reza Say explains how it's won the admiration of many.
Who is the most adored man in Egypt these days? Ask around, and many will tell you the general, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the head of Egypt's armed forces.
We'll take you live to Cairo now, and CNN's Ben Wiedemann joins us now live with more on these expected dueling rallies, we could call them, in the country today. Ben?
Yes, Monita, definitely we are expecting a very large turnout here in Tahrir Square. The marches aren't expected to begin.
Ben, thank you for that. Ben Wiedemann there live for us in Cairo. Spain has declared 3 days of national mourning following a train crash that killed 80 people. These amazing surveillance camera pictures show just how bad it all was. The train came off its tracks and slammed into a concrete wall on Wednesday. Spanish authorities say it's just too soon to tell what actually caused the derailment, but they think the train was going too fast. More than 90 people are still in hospital. The driver of the train is being questioned by police. Carl Penhall is in Santiago de Compostela, and he joins us now live with more on that investigation. Carl?
Monita, we've just heard over the last few minutes, actually, from the forensic...
Harrowing account there from that survivor there. Carl, thank you so much. Carl Penhall there live for us from Santiago de Compostela. You're watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. Here are some of the other stories we are following for you here at CNN News Center. Halliburton, a U.S. oil field engineering company, will plead guilty to destroying potential evidence in the legal battle that followed the Gulf of Mexico oil spill back in 2010. The U.S. Justice Department says the company will pay the maximum fine for the offense. That's $200,000. The United Nations Refugee Agency says it's troubled by Australia's new policy on asylum seekers arriving by boat. It says the decision to hold arrivals in detention centers overseas while their applications are processed raises serious questions. It says not enough protection is provided for them, and the system has major legal shortcomings. A bitter dispute between China and Japan over who owns a group of islands is flaring up again. 4 boats from China's newly established Coast Guard entered the waters around the islands in the East China Sea and declared sovereignty. Japan is angry. It says it controls the islands and the territorial waters around them. A juror in the trial of George Zimmerman, that's the U.S. neighborhood watchman who shot dead an unarmed black teenager, says he got away with murder. 2 weeks ago, a 6-woman jury found Zimmerman not guilty of murdering Trayvon Martin, but now the only non-white member of the jury has come out to say she wanted a murder conviction. The woman. And in California, a squirrel infected with bubonic plague has caused the shutdown of 3 campgrounds outside Los Angeles. U.S. health officials say the squirrel tested positive for the disease that was known as the Black Death in the Middle Ages. Humans can contract the disease if bitten by infected fleas. Only 4 cases of the plague were reported in L.A. since the mid-'80s. Pope Francis spoke to 1 million people on Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach on Thursday. The pontiff called on young people to bote fé, which is Brazilian street slang for put on faith. The Pope is touring Brazil as part of the week-long celebrations of World Youth Day. Let's cross over to Miguel Marquez, who joins us now live from Rio de Janeiro with more on the Pope's visit so far.
Well, it's been a stunning visit, and perhaps the best news today.
Thank you very much, Miguel Marquez there live for us in Rio de Janeiro. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Sweltering temperatures drag on in eastern China while Hong Kong endures relentless rain. We're watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong, and we've got an update for you now. One of our top stories, the investigation into the Spanish rail crash that has killed 80 people. The Spanish police have announced they have formally detained the train driver over the crash. We'll have more on that when we have it. Meanwhile, it's been 60 years since the end of the fighting in the Korean War, and as part of North Korea's celebrations, CNN has been given rare access inside the Hermit Kingdom. The Korean War devastated both the North and the South, and today South Korea is one of the world's 10 biggest economies. But the North has stagnated. CNN's Ivan Watson has more on the very different economic landscapes.
Welcome to the Kim Il-sungya and Kim Jong-ilya Flower Festival, a big pavilion devoted to...
It's been an emotional journey for Australian veterans who fought in the Korean War 60 years ago. They returned to the demilitarized zone to commemorate the end of hostilities.
I think quite emotional.
It's been heavy rain here in Hong Kong. It's been a deluge of rain, I should say, a lot of people are saying, in the city. Let's go to our meteorologist, Myra Ramos, at the World Weather Center with more on that. And, of course, also some soaring temperatures in eastern China.
Yeah, it's either one or the other. Feast or famine, it seems. It's either going to stay raining, and that keeps the temperatures cool because of the cloud.
All right, you have a good weekend too, Mari. Thank you very much. You're watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal, live at CNN Hong Kong. Thanks for joining us. Stick around, though. We'll update you with news headlines in just a couple of minutes.